up straight at the foot of your love. I lift my shirt up. Stand up straight at the foot of your love. I lift my shirt up. I was carried to Ohio in a swarm of bees. I never married, but Ohio don't remember me. Lay my head on the hood of your car, right? The hood of your car, right?
Time-lapse photography is something I really have a passion for, something I've enjoyed doing for a number of years now. I actually conduct time-lapses commercially, industrial time-lapses. But I also really enjoy, the more personal side of time lapses and being out in the field and capturing daily activities throughout Gibraltar and different sorts of routines that people have and locations and different kinds of activities that happen throughout our place. One of the things I've always wanted to be able to do was to capture a night time lapse, and that has its own particular challenges, obviously because of the low light levels. But with the right level, with the right equipment and the right techniques, I think you're able to overcome those. And so I managed to get down to Lighthouse area in Europa Point, and luckily for us, it was a really clear night. And I was able to, test some of the technique and put the equipment to good use throughout the course of the evening, and that resulted in quite decent footage that I was able to put together.
When I take pictures, I mainly like textures, forms, shapes, abstractions, close-ups. So although I take landscapes and stuff like that, I prefer the close-up world. And especially the lighting is interesting, either with the warm glow of evening or sharp contrasts of light, shadows. These are the elements that I will look for in the photographs that I take.
control. Pyramids convert stone to gold. I have arrived again, ready to take control.
Because I wanted to express myself in some ways. I always used to like art when I was little, but then kind of put it under the carpet for quite a while. And I always used to like painting as well and made some sculptures, but I kind of never developed it really. And with photography I found that you have your ideas in your head and then it's quite quick to do it. For example, if you have everything organized, you can do it in a day, and then obviously you edit the photo or you take it on from there. But with painting and that, it's not for me. But I want something like more quick, so I don't lose interest.
Photography is technically painting with light, and it is your working medium. No matter what camera you use light to create your image and use the light to create shadows. At the end of the day, you're going to look at a photograph which is two-dimensional, and you're trying to impress on that two-dimensional space the three-dimensional world. And the way to do that is to use light and shadows and shapes to add the three-dimensional aspect.
My inspiration comes from a lot of other artists, mainly lowbrow artists, which I follow the movement. Started in LA, but now it's all over the world. I collect their books, limited edition prints, and obviously from there you get inspirations, or even in the internet, or sometimes just walking about, and just comes from nowhere really. So it's quite complex because it's bits and pieces come from here and there, and obviously I make notes too. And I build up like a scene like that. So at the moment I don't have much spare time, so I just have notes written down, and when I have time I can create the scenes and the setups, which I really would like to do. This image is taken in Tarifa with my friend Sandra. And this photo is of a woman who killed her loved one, and her kids looking at the whole ceremony. And obviously she's saying bye here to her partner. On the side she have her medication. Obviously she's not quite well. I like this kind of dark photography, which is a bit like lowbrow art. It's with playing with the characters. For example, some props are from lowbrow artists, which I used.
the tone of the light, the color of the light, the direction of the light. Wow, that is the basis of my photography. I am inspired by my surroundings, by my environment. Wherever I go, whether it be on holiday or walking around, I am very aware of my surroundings. I don't miss things. So wherever I am, my inspiration is my surroundings.
Started with sports photography, 2003, 2004 again, and I've actually accompanied the local Island Games Association to the Shetland Islands, and I documented a lot of that for a local publication. And that led on to football photography, which is obviously kind of the logical step for me in terms of sports photography. And at the time, I spent more than one rainy evening behind the Victoria Stadium goals and documenting what back then was non-UEFA related local Premiership matches. And that was interesting in itself, and it allowed me to learn a lot about the camera, about the technique behind it, about shooting in low light, and about the particular challenges of working with high-end cameras and longer lenses, and which is not easy at all. That progressively, led me on to what I'm doing today, and I'm actually the official photographer for the Gibraltar Football Association, and that has been a very, very proud period of time for me, and I feel very privileged to have been able to do what I've done, and I've documented what has turned out to be the first official campaign in terms of UEFA accredited football for the GFA, and that has been a tremendous journey, not only for the association, for the players, but also myself, in the background and documenting a lot of what's been happening. And I've always felt that was an important thing to do, because in years' time, all we'll have left, apart from memories, are the actual pictures and the footage that's generated as we've gone along. So I've enjoyed it tremendously, and it's something I've really look back on in years to come, and with a smile, really. When we equalised against Scotland at Hampden Park, that was another, tremendous experience. Because of the environment, because of the atmosphere in that stadium, and the actual sense of history that you got.
I've been for you to tell me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you want me. I've been waiting all night for you to tell me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Yeah. Tell me that you want me. Yeah. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you want me. Yeah. Tell me that you need me. Yeah. Tell me that you want me. Yeah. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you want me.
I'm originally from Budapest, Hungary. I came here about 15 years ago. I live by the lighthouse now around 10 years or so. It's totally different. I mean, I live by the sea, seeing the dolphin and the ships passing by. In Budapest, we have the River Danube, and we have some lakes in the country, but we don't really have sea. So, and I always loved the sea when we went on holiday with my family. So living next to the sea is really precious for me. My favorite locations in Gibraltar have to be the tunnels. I love the history of Gibraltar, especially the machines in the rock, all the tools they used in the war, all preserved in a great state, even the engine rooms or different areas in the rock, obviously, which I can access.
Iconic image of Gibraltar, for me especially, is a view of the rock from the top. There's a particular spot up on Douglas Path where you stand up there, you're virtually on the ridge, and you look north and you see the sweeping ridge of the rock northwards. On the right, the sand slopes, Catalan Bay. On the left, the town and the bay. And that image I have taken loads of times.
The green plastic watering can for a fake Chinese rubber plant and a fake plastic girl.
Because I'm a natural history photographer, obviously the Upper Rock, the southern end of Gibraltar, Windmill Hill Flats, the sand slopes of the east side, they are the areas that I inhabit in my photography. But the town itself is a treasure trove. If you walk around the back alleys in particular, the type of architecture, especially the older type of architecture, the doorways, the patios, the alleys, the steps, the shutters, you name it. I think that Gibraltar is a treasure trove of photography.
I also have a passion for architectural photography. As a youngster, I really wanted to be an architect, so I guess I'm a bit of a frustrated architect. I suppose I could describe it that way. And since I'm not an architect, I thought why not do architectural photography? And it was one of those moments where everything just came together in a split second, and you have these reactions which, having a creative mind, I guess, allows you to capture the moment, and And basically there were a series of children playing in and amongst the fountains, and it was a case of me just turning around at a specific time where this child was kicking a ball, and at the same time the fountains all sprang into life, and I saw how the fountains just surrounded and engulfed the kid, you know, and it was at that particular moment that I was able to snap the picture that I did. And you know, to date I think it's one of the most creative bits of photography that I've ever been able to put together.
I always liked to explore when I was a child. I used to like to go old factories with my friends and see how the past stopped, really. The time stopped in one of these factories when you can see again all the machines and all the equipment just left behind, unused. This photo is very special to me. I really love this one. We went inside the tank. Obviously, I had to set the camera even with a wide angle. I had to set it very low, near to the floor, so kind of I had to nearly lie down in the tank to get the full circle.
I have always considered photography as an art. Not everybody does, and here in Gibraltar I think they don't consider photography at the same level as painting, say. But I personally have always considered photography as an art, because at the end of the day you are using a very scientific method, you know, using a camera, a machine to capture an image. But the photograph is in your mind. I mean, you look around and you're creating something from your surroundings. You are going to isolate an aspect of your surroundings. You're going to zoom in on something, crop something out, wait for a particular moment, particular lighting, you name it. I mean, there are a whole lot of things. At the instant that you press your shutter, you have created something.
Photography is, as an art is really accessible to a whole range of people nowadays, especially, you know, with the advent of digital photography. It's accessible to most people who can afford a basic camera, who can afford a basic phone. So I really would advise people to just be creative with any equipment that they have, and not to be held back by a lack of equipment. And just follow your mind, follow your heart, and just document as much as you can, and be creative within what you do. That to me would be probably the best advice I could give.
And sometimes, although it is almost point and shoot, but in a couple of seconds you will have decided on many things. The lighting angle, the composition, the arrangement, the tones, and so on, and that is art.